Hello again, and welcome to another episode of the Fun Fans Podcast. I'm your host, James Dillard. With me, as always, my co-host, Bailey Jackson. How you doing, Bailey?
I'm good. I'm thawed out and ready for another work week coming up tomorrow.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We've had a little bit of wintry weather around here lately. We'll talk about that in a second. But we got a great show coming up. The CFP, the College Football Playoffs, still rolling, all while TikTok is about to be not rolling, coming to an end. We're going to tie those together on the show tonight. And like I said, we've had some wintry weather. And, speaking of winter, the winter and spring sports are both, coming around or going wide open and starting at Clemson and all colleges. So we're going to touch on that a little bit. But first, the Fun Fans are a proud part of the Greenville Sports Media Podcasting Network. If you're a true sports fan, the Greenville Sports Media is perfect for you. Find various nationwide podcasts, the latest articles, and other sports media at greenvillesportsmedia.com. Those guys can also be found on all forms of social media. Just like the Fun Fans Podcast is the official podcast for Clemson fans.
Yeah, and Reuben's is the official spot for Clemson fans and other sports fans to get all their food, sports, spirits, and catering. The best wings around, with 2 locations in the upstate. That one's at 1083 Batesville Road in Greer, not too far from the airport, 11028 Anderson Road in Piedmont. You can check them out online at ReubensC.com. Reubens, like I said, is a great place to eat for all sports fans.
All sports fans. The Fun Fans Podcast is now also brought to you by Ivy O'Sullivan Healthcare Services. At Ivy O'Sullivan, they're more than just chiropractors. Since 1977, this family-owned business located in downtown Spartanburg has been helping people with techniques other than the typical twisting and popping that can sometimes make people feel nervous about trying a chiropractor. I've been a patient my entire life, and I take my own children there as well. If you have an ache or pain, give Ivy O'Sullivan Healthcare a try. And if you mention the Fun Fans Podcast, they will donate 100% of your initial evaluation cost to their charity of the month. So call them at 864-583-3967 or find them at ivyosullivan.com to feel better and function at your best. All right, so like I said, we had a little winter weather around here. Bailey, did you get to go out and play in the snow?
I wouldn't call it playing in the snow. I wouldn't call it enough snow to play in.
Right.
I always like to burn stuff when there's some precipitation. So I had a couple stumps that I had been kind of rotting around, and I wanted to try to burn those. And and I had a bunch of brush from the fall and the hurricane that I needed to take care of. So that's what I did.
Very good. Very good. So yeah, there was. Now, if you're a Clemson fan and you follow Clemson, almost anything on social media, you saw they got a pretty good snow over there in Clemson, and those folks played around and sledded down the hills and whatnot. I think I saw a video of Cade Klubnik sledding down the hill at the stadium. Just enough to kind of keep you in the house and sit around and do nothing.
Yeah, measurable snowfall for the first time in our area in about 4 years. So that was, and there's a chance for more later, next weekend. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. The official 7/10 of an inch at GSP, which is not too far from my house, and just enough. Like I say, our kids were at Disney. They were in Florida. They said it was cold in Florida. So, but
yeah, the cold snap reached all the way down.
Yeah, we made some soups and stews and laid around and did a whole lot of nothing. So that was fun. That's what you do when you get our age and it snows. We didn't burn nothing to burn. So
yeah, I like being outside when it's snowing. My son even came out and said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I just like being outside when it's snowing. I always have."
That's pretty good. It is. I like looking at it. Well, I actually had a conversation with my daughters today that it's kind of disappointing that there wasn't more, because you do like going out and let it crunch under your feet and make a snowball, whatever, even if it's just for a minute.
Or pulling wood around the yard on the gator with the sled tied to the back of it. That was probably the most dangerous thing we did when he was like 11.
Yeah.
Or 12.
He don't do that anymore.
He probably would, yes.
Yeah, okay. Well, very good. Well, we're back to kind of back to normal. The upstate, the schools, we still have a 2-hour delay because there are some patches in certain areas that are still not great, and they're going to be frozen over again in the morning. So we got to give those buses some time. Got to let the sun come up before they get those buses rolling. So that's what we're doing, but we'll be back on track for sure. And we're back here on the podcast. And what has happened since last week, we had a couple of semifinal games, and those were good football games. Thursday night, and we've already talked about how, from a fan perspective, a Thursday night game, not really on a holiday, whatever. We've already talked about that. But I think the stadium looked pretty full to me from what I saw. I mean, I didn't notice any empty seats. Baylor was at a basketball. Y'all had a basketball game that night, right?
Yeah, I watched the second half, and I mean, it was full.
Yeah, seemed full. So I'm sure those fans.
They're not going to show you the parts that aren't full.
Well,
on the television.
Sometimes you can catch it if it's if they can't help it. And some of those bowl games, you saw some empty seats.
Oh well, yeah.
But they couldn't help it. But it was a really good game. So that was Notre Dame defeated Georgia. And I mean, you had any thoughts on? You saw the second half, so Georgia looked like Georgia.
I thought Notre Dame beat Penn State, didn't they?
Penn State, yes. I'm sorry. When I said it, I said that don't sound right.
You misspoke.
Sorry.
I thought that it was the game I thought it would be. It was kind of like a heavyweight fight, like two heavyweight wrestlers that I watched last week. But it's kind of funny that at the end, the field goal kicker at Notre Dame was a Gamecock for a couple years. He transferred up there to now he kicked the biggest kick, one of the biggest kicks in Notre Dame history.
Well, a lot of their point scorers are transfers, people that are pro transfer portal. Their quarterback was at Duke last year, one of their top receivers, if not their top receiver, was Bo Collins at Clemson.
Yeah, right? I don't know. Do they not recruit quarterbacks? The last two quarterbacks they have been like Sam Hartman played there. Riley Leonard, they're getting ACC transfers.
It probably just depends. We talked about a cycle. There's a recruiting cycle, and this is a different conversation really, but the recruiting cycle kind of got interrupted for some programs, depending on where you were at certain positions, maybe with the transfer portal. So I don't know. It depends on philosophy, but I thought it was a really good game. It was really close. It was great. And then Friday night, do I have the teams right? Ohio State defeated Texas, I believe. Yeah. And, like everybody was saying, the way Ohio State was playing in the playoffs, the first two games, I mean, they're just going to beat anybody. Just complete game, total package. Texas showed some life, and it was not a blowout or anything by any means, but
I think Ohio State game. 2 plays of the game. 2 biggest plays of the game.
All right.
The screen pass that went for a touchdown right before halftime.
Yep. That was big.
And really, the fact that it's 1st and goal from the 1 and Texas goes the wrong direction.
They go backwards.
Yeah, and then it's ironic, I guess, that the quarterback, the quarterback, the guy who stripped the quarterback and picked it up and ran it all the way back was actually his roommate for 3 years.
Yeah, former roommate, speaking of transfers and stuff. So, and that ended up being a 14-point game, but it was really closer than that throughout. So congratulations to Notre Dame and Ohio State. Those are the teams going to be in the national championship. And from a fan perspective, here we are, we're still talking and watching college football, and it seems, we're new and exciting and everything. We got down to the 4 teams. We've had 4 teams now for how long do we have 4 teams? 8 years, 10 years? Started in 20.
Like that. I looked it up the other night and I don't have those notes.
Yeah. So getting down to 4 teams.
It's refreshing that it's not that we have 2 teams that aren't normally there.
Yes.
It's not like watching the same thing.
That is correct.
Year to year.
Nobody from the particular conference that likes to tout about how great they are.
Right.
And a semi-representative of the Atlantic Coast Conference in Notre Dame, I'll say. We'll say at least. All right, and that natty is set for January 20th. January 20th is a busy day. There's a lot going on that day.
Yep.
You know what some folks might need to handle all that they might have to do on the 20th? some energy, go to w.gg, enter promo code FUNFANS for 10% off your Jitterless energy drink. Now, speaking of what's going on in the world, TikTok, and it's like the playoffs. They went into the finals against the government in the Supreme Court, and they didn't do too good. They didn't get their first down on 4th and 10. It's not looking too good for TikTok. And the question is, why in the world are we talking about this on our show? Well, we talk a lot about how these college players are just kids, and what goes on with them and the fans, the other fans in the stadium. Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, these college kids love them some TikTok. Your daughter's on. She's a TikToker.
You can still have it on your phone. You just won't get any new. So you could literally, what's there now, you could go through and watch all of it
over and over again.
You won't get any new updates.
Yeah, no updates. Well, from what I heard, they're unsure what will happen, but you won't be able to load it if you don't already have it. You won't be able to get any updates
app stores,
to the app.
Yep.
And yeah, there might be some other stuff, but but some guy from one of the Shark Tank guys says he's gonna buy it. It's just a matter of if they can make that work. But anyway, so this ties to these college kids. There was another college, I'm gonna say student athlete, in the news this week in Carson Beck. So the now former quarterback at Georgia, who was their starter, started the season as a potential Heisman candidate, and he was going to go to the draft and, be maybe one of the higher quarterbacks drafted after this year. And he got hurt in the SEC championship game. And tell me if I'm wrong, Baylor, but didn't he initially declare for the NFL draft?
I think he talked about it. I don't think you can declare and then pull out. I don't know if there's a time period where you could remove your name or not, but I thought it was funny when he put on social media, "Please do not contact me."
Yeah, he was the second one that we've seen that posted the transfer.
If that's not an obvious indictment on tampering,
yes,
that deal was done before he got in the portal.
Before he entered the portal. So he goes into the portal, and you're like, you start hearing it. So he ends up in Miami, and supposedly they're paying him, a lot of money.
$3 million.
Okay, I heard it was $4, but $3 or $4 million. So I also heard it was $8. I knew that was wrong. So he gets $4 million, but then the real news comes out. Come to find out, his girlfriend plays basketball for Miami. Now, are you familiar with Hannah? I believe it's Cavender, if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
I am not, but she is some kind of social media icon, right?
Yeah. So this is a screenshot from their TikTok. Obviously, they're making the U. So she has a twin, and they've already gone, big time viral. They were playing ball somewhere. Then they left college basketball and they were approached by professional wrestling. They were noticed on social media. Anyway, they have 4.5 million followers on TikTok. And of course they have Instagram stuff as well. But I'm like, this is, you've got college athletics. This young man, he made an adult decision. We talk about these kids. It's more like a job now. They're getting paid. This is definitely seems like an adult situation. It's not his spouse, but he's going to where his, spouse-ish type, his other person, you move to where, you move to where you're, I guess, or whatever, take a job. I don't know. So it's, some adult decisions. Plus that's a business. These having 4.5 million followers on TikTok and who knows how many on Instagram. Her and her twin are getting paid.
Yeah, I mean, she is doing what you call monetizing their accounts.
That is correct. So I'm going to say in this particular case, if there was any tampering on Miami's part, we might have to blame the girlfriend. This might actually be one of the cases where the coaches didn't do any of the tampering. He's like, look, I know where I'm going. I'm going down there where my girl is. And because she's got all them followers on social media. If the sports thing don't work out, they're just going to be influencers.
Yeah, well, seems to be a pretty good living in it. We're trying.
Yeah. Yeah. So if they hear about this, maybe they'll re-shout us out or whatever it's called. Anyway, so best of luck to them. Even if TikTok is no more, 4.5 million followers just gone. That's another reason why a lot of these folks don't want it gone. But these college kids, they love them some TikTok.
Is going TikTok on TikTok.
Correct. The clock is ticking. All right. So some other news in sports. The NFL playoffs have begun. Bailey, do you pay attention to the NFL playoffs?
Absolutely, I do.
All right. Who are we pulling for?
Oh, I'm a Commanders guy. I grew up a Redskins fan, and now they're not the Redskins. They're the Commanders, and they're getting ready to start. So,
like the Orioles for baseball.
Yeah. And the reason, I mean, that's the same reasons that I like the O's, is that area I was familiar with. And honestly, Channel 3 in Charlotte used to have before the Panthers, the Redskins were on at 1:00 every Sunday.
Right.
Every Sunday.
Yeah. Kids, when young folks out there listening, when Bailey and I were kids, when we were children back in the day, there were no Charlotte professional teams. And so when you turned on the quote unquote local, so now where I live, we always got Atlanta, the Atlanta Falcons.
Correct. So CBS would have one game on.
Yeah.
And at 1:00, we could get that antenna on top of the house, yang, 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 to get the Spartanburg Channel 7, which it would.
Yeah.
On a clear day.
That's right.
The Falcons would be covered because that was stretching from the Atlanta area, but Washington, for some reason, had the North Carolina markets.
They came all the way down the East Coast to the Charlotte market. So that makes sense. So, okay. So do the Commanders, are they playing tonight on one of the streaming services that the NFL seems to be using?
No, this is every week Sunday Night Football on NBC.
Okay.
The Eagles just beat the Packers. The Bills won earlier today. And yesterday, the Texans beat the Rams. And then what was the late game yesterday?
The Ravens beat the Steelers.
Yeah. So there's one more game tomorrow night. Detroit plays the Rams.
They play the Rams. Yeah, the Chargers were the ones from yesterday.
Yeah.
So last night's game with the Ravens and the Steelers, that was the game that was on the streaming service. Okay, so from a fan perspective, the NFL last year, I'm thinking, why did the NFL, they're putting games solely on these streaming services? But somewhere between last year and this year, I don't know many people that have, if you have a cell phone plan, any kind of satellite or YouTube TV plan, it's like they've tagged on some extra streaming service, at least, from my experience and a lot of people I talk to. So honestly, it's hard not to have those streaming services. Last night's game was on, what was it on?
It was on Prime, I think.
Yeah, Amazon Prime. Do you have Amazon Prime?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I was talking about this at lunch, and even my dad has Amazon Prime.
They don't even have Amazon Prime and you get free shipping through Amazon, you have the TV service.
Correct. And that was kind of baffling to me because I don't even think they have ESPN on their Spectrum choices of, they've got the such basic, package. Right. They don't even have the sports channels, but they've got the Amazon Prime. But like you say, it's part of their.
Well, the majority, honestly, a lot of Americans, have Prime and Netflix. And Netflix actually has broadcast a couple NFL games this year.
Yep, they did. Was it Christmas Day?
Yeah.
And I think that went better than that boxing match they broadcast.
Yeah, I think so.
From a loading standpoint.
I think they worked on their bandwidth.
Yeah, so I saw some numbers, and as far as what the NFL gets from TV, we talk about TV money in college all the time. But they're selling these per game. It's like it's like donuts. Okay, you buy a dozen donuts, the per donut price is cheaper. They're taking the donuts out of the box and charging more for the per donut, and these places are willing to pay the money to get the per donut. Right. So the NFL is just they're killing it. Anyway, all right, so we're pulling for the Commanders. All right, who are they playing tonight?
They're playing Tampa Bay right now.
Okay, we can do that.
Started.
All right, we can do that. All right, so give us a Clemson basketball update, B.
Big win yesterday. Beat Florida State, bouncing back from a road trip to Louisville. And so I read something that said, well, the Tigers, this Louisville. Louisville, I could have picked them at the beginning of the year as the team with the biggest turnaround because they hired Pat Kelsey, who will be the ACC Coach of the Year. He was at Winthrop College of Charleston, and he's a turnaround guy. That's what he is. And they have like 8 or 9 players that weren't there last year now. So they're good. Clemson didn't play well midweek, but bounced back yesterday and kind of took care of Florida State.
Yeah, my understanding is Louisville's pretty good. All right, very good. How many? What we're getting? How close is the ACC tournament?
It's in first week in March.
First week in March, and the way they do it this year, there's the top 4 teams get buys, and not everybody makes it, right?
Yeah, I think I don't know the exact format if it's different from last year, but if you don't finish, like for example, NC State had to win 5 games in 5 days last year, and they did,
right?
Because they were like a 12 seed or something.
Yeah, they went on a tear.
You want to be in the top 4.
That's what I'm thinking.
If you're in the top 6 or 8, you get, you only have to go 3 days to win it all, or something like that.
Very good. So and we'll get more on that then. So we got till March to talk about that. But you know what else has started? Clemson hockey. So last year, you need to go find this schedule. It's like a club team.
Yeah.
That's associated with the university. But so they got a little abbreviated schedule. They play, unless they've changed it now, they play their home games at in Greer, in one of the things in Greenville, one of the ice rinks and the rec centers in Greenville. I don't know where they do the away stuff, might depend, but they try to do a game against South Carolina at a bigger arena. Last year we saw them. We went to watch them play South Carolina at Bon Secours Arena, and I don't think they're doing it this year. But late, you can't see it because of the ticker. But late in the season, they play South Carolina in Columbia, so I don't know if they'll get into a bigger Coliseum or something.
It's probably at the old. I think the old Coliseum right beside Colonial Life Center converts to a hockey rink.
Yep. So they played. They've already won. They're 1-0. I saw the score against it looks like Alabama Huntsville there, so they're off to a good start. And so just kind of circling back to football, the other thing that we've heard the past couple of weeks really is the good job Clemson has done with player retention, and we've got some really big players out of the portal. Those people, and Bailey and I don't worry about that. We don't talk about that stuff, but we're going to throw it out there for all the fans that weren't having a lot of fun when signing day was rolling around, right? And, supposedly Clemson didn't rank real high or whatever. I think they actually ranked the retention and they ranked the portal class and that type thing. And Clemson's right there in it. I mean, we've reloaded in a couple of spots, and from a player standpoint, we're looking really, really good next year.
Yeah, I mean, Jeremiah Alexander signed with Clemson this week. He was a former 5-star Peter Woods high school teammate, linebacker, defensive end that was playing at Alabama. So he signed. Tristan Smith signed first from Southeast Missouri. Yes, that's a FCS level, but he averaged like 1,000 yards a season, receiver. And then Will Height from Purdue was the number 1 edge rusher in the portal. So Clemson is like, they're just filling in their gaps. Dabo has never been anti-portal. He said, if I can get players that will help us and they have the right mentality, that's what we'll do. And that's what he's got.
That's what he's got. All we need, we're looking for, the other news is we're looking for a defensive coordinator.
Coming soon.
Yep, I'm sure that'll be coming soon. All right,
rumored to be Indiana's defensive coordinator.
I've heard tons of rumors. I've heard Notre Dame's. I've heard some guy Broncos.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, I have no idea. But like we say on here, we kind of just wait and see. Just to promote the other sports, like I say, a lot of it's going on with Clemson Gymnastics. That was huge last year. You're talking about packing a gym. Those folks, and they did good. The team did really well. And just a reminder, so 2 weeks from today, on Sunday the 26th, we're going to put together a Fun Fan panel. We're going to talk about the Fun Fans adjustment to the 12-team playoffs, but we're waiting until it's over. Then we're going to reflect. And and see how it goes. And also a reminder, we have a TikTok. There's a at Fun Fans Podcast TikTok, and we're also on Instagram and Facebook. So if you're looking for, if you want to get on TikTok real quick before they get rid of it, just to see what it's like, make sure you go follow Fun Fans Podcast. And if they don't ban TikTok, then I might have to start posting more videos.
I don't put a bunch of them in there.
Yeah, it's TikTok's addictive. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you the algorithm they use and the format.
It is a rabbit hole.
They figured it out. They did it right. But so whatever else they're doing, if they're doing something wrong behind there, then I guess that's why, or who knows. I'm not getting into the theories on that. So anything else for the fans tonight, Bailey?
No, spring sports right around the corner. Baseball's ranked in every publication like top 10 preseason. And, softball's right up there, and looking forward to a spring sports season with the Tigers.
It's going to be fun. All right. We hope you enjoyed the show. Really enjoying the fact that college football is still going. We wish Carson and Hannah and the U the best of luck, except when they play Clemson. And we hope TikTok can somehow be salvaged without our country being taken over by China. Thanks again for checking us out each and every Sunday. Don't forget to click subscribe on the Fun Fans Podcast YouTube channel, as well as your favorite podcast platform. Follow us on social media and reach out to become a sponsor on behalf of the Fun Fans Podcast, J Thrill Entertainment.
We out of here.